everybody, and welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm Rebecca Matter, the president of AWAI, and I'm with Nick Usborne. Hello, Mr. Usborne.
Hi there. Do I look okay? My screen is like you don't see a green flashing on my.
No. I don't know,
all right.
Facebook world. Does Nick look okay? Let's get a thumbs up and comments in the comments and see how Nick looks on a scale of 1 to 10.
Wow, yeah, it's kind of weird.
I've never been asked a question actually in interviewing somebody in reverse before, so thank you for that. That keeps me on my toes.
Right.
Well, I'm excited for today. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite things that emerged in 2025. And I think as we close out the year, like how great that we're ending on this and that we're setting up for what I think is going to be one of the biggest opportunities in 2026. And that is this idea of becoming a solo agency. Now, if you've been around AWAI for a while now, or you've been following along this week in our conversations, this is what we've been talking about. And so I have the guy behind the whole thing, Nick Usborne, here today to answer all of our questions and kind of get on the same page as to what this opportunity is. Everyone thought, AI is taking everything away. And while technology and advancements always take some things away, we know, Nick, having been in this for so freaking long, that it also always brings new opportunities. And I think I was talking to a group on Friday and I said, being in this industry for so long, decades now, I've seen the waves. And the coolest thing is that people today who are coming into the space that you and I have been in for so long are at the end of a down and they're at the beginning of this new wave. We talk about things like AI optimization and this solo agency. There's just so much happening on this upwave. And so I'm excited to be here with you and explore something brand new, which is what we've been doing for over 2 decades now.
I'm kind of pumped as well, because it was like, I can't say it was a surprise, but it was just amazing with the first group of people we had going through this program. Not only the energy, but the outcome is like a lot of people, I think, started off thinking, oh my goodness, this sounds really hard, going from being a freelancer to a solo agency owner. And I'm amazed by the number of people who said, yep, I'm in, and then doing it and executing on it and publishing it. And like, it's just like, wow. It's not like I didn't expect some people to, but it's just like more people than I thought did jump at the chance. Far fewer people said, oh my goodness, looks really hard, because I thought a lot of people might think that, but that was like, so I was like, have my fingers crossed, like I hope people are going to be able to, based on the training, I hope people are actually going to be able to do this and execute on it, and it's not just me talking into the air. And yeah, like I kind of hold back my expectations so I don't feel disappointed, but this, like the result, the number of people who leapt in and did this completely blew past my kind of inner expectation level. I don't know about you, but I was just amazed.
Well, I knew that the opportunity was there, and this is what I was so excited about this year and working with you on this. But I didn't know, we never know how many people will be successful once they go through something. And that was really cool. Like, so while I believed in it, will people actually do it? Will they do the work? Will they find an outcome that makes them happy? And that's what we found we did. And so I actually want to take a step back, if you don't mind, because people watching right now might have no idea what we're talking about. So can we talk, again, I tipped it off a little bit at the beginning that AI took a lot of things away, but it brought a bunch of new things, including this opportunity. So when we say solo agency model, what the heck are we talking about? Let's take it from the top.
All right. So I got very excited. So in the world of like creating advertising materials for client companies, there are different levels, and at one level are the freelancers who often work at home. Sometimes they just kind of some of them start a company, some don't. You don't need to. And as freelancers, that's what we do. We're kind of on call and we do work for our clients, and hopefully we build up a good number of clients over the years. If you step up from there, you get what I would call, what a lot of people call the boutique agency. So this isn't like some huge global agency. This is like 4 or 5 people. All right. So it's a small boutique agency, but it's more than just a freelancer. You have different skill sets there. You know, you'll probably have the founder who might be the kind of client-facing person. You might have a designer, a writer. Uh, you know, I don't know. There are a number of roles that can be filled in a boutique agency. Then you start going up to mid-range, and then you up to global-sized agencies with hundreds or thousands of people within the company. It's pretty static. Historically, very few people have jumped from being freelance to a boutique agency owner, and very few boutique agencies then turn into huge agencies. Things tended to stay the same, you know, the way you set it up. And it's because of those barriers, those significant barriers to entry. Like, so as if I'm a freelancer and want to be an agency, it's like, oh wow, I got to take on a whole bunch of other responsibilities. I've got to hire people. I got payroll. I got cash flow. I got to get more clients. It's like scary. And like, how do I find these people and how do I hire and manage these people? So there was this big barrier to entry, and again, I'll try not to jump forward too far, but that is where the leverage of AI comes in. Finally, it's very, very doable to make that jump from freelancer to boutique agency or solo agency owner. There's no longer those big barriers to entry. So that's what we were doing. That's what we worked on.
I think that's just to put it in a wrapper. The solo agency now is what was a boutique agency of 5 people now being done by
Right.
one with the help of AI. You know, once you have the marketing and the writing know-how, being able to help companies with their, you know, leads, buyers, sales, retention, all of the aspects that we talk about of customer journey, being able to really create all of the marketing materials that are needed. It's just really changed the whole idea of what freelancing is. Even I know you and I have even joked that it's freelance copywriting 2.0, because I'm no longer doing just a project. I'm actually creating what an agency would have created for the same project that you and I might have talked about years ago. A client might want a landing page, and that's what you and I taught this idea back then. And now it's like, it's not just a landing page, it's a landing page plus with design and research and all of this stuff that goes into it, making us wildly more valuable to clients as an individual.
Right. So I might, as a freelancer, I might be. It's kind of freelancing very often, not always, but very often is kind of piecework. A client says, "Oh, can you write me a series of 4 emails?" And so you say, "Right, that's the gig." They don't go to an agency for that. They go to an agency and say, "Hey, can you help us develop an email marketing strategy?" All right. So can I write 5 emails? Yes, I can. And it's whatever it's going to be, $900. Can you help me develop a email marketing strategy? Sure, I can. That'll be $4,500 or $7,000 or whatever. So we're just reframing the certain language and certain tasks that freelancers take on. We want to switch that, and we can. And Rebecca, you alluded to it, because now I don't have 3 or 4 other people around the table, but I kind of do, because I got AI. I can do design. I'm a copywriter, and if I wanted to do design in the past, I had to hire a designer. Not anymore. I've got plenty of tools that I can use for design. I can use video. I can do video production, which I couldn't do before. I'd have to hire someone who is an expert in video. I can do incredible, extraordinary, in-depth research. I can research industries. I can research niches. I can do competitive analysis reports for my clients. These are the things that agencies did because they had those kind of researchers and analysts on staff. I don't. I'm still solo, but I can do those. I can create. Man, that end of it, and I talk about this quite a bit in the training because it just blows my mind. I can produce what would traditionally be a kind of mid six-figure report, like, so not 100,000, mid six-figure, like halfway to 7 figures. I can produce something like that in the marketplace would have been valued mid six figures, and I know this because I've heard it firsthand from a large company that paid that amount. I can do that now for pennies, and I can do it while I'm making coffee. It takes about 10 minutes. So what AI allows us to do is to have the value that boutique agencies used to offer, but you can now have this as one person. So it's still me at the desk, but I actually have 4 or 5 other people around the desk with me because I'm using I'm using AI. I can do prototypes. I can design websites. I can do all these things like that. Rebecca, you may remember, like in the olden days, if I wanted to show a client what a website might look like, I'd go into Word and I'd use text boxes
Text
and fill little
boxes.
boxes
Yeah.
in Word and type text in. Now I can go to a vibe coding platform like Lovable, and I can just type in a prompt saying, "Hey, this is my niche. This is what the agency is going to do. Here are 3 big things. Um, you know, build me a web page." And again, I go back, pour myself a cup of coffee, come back, and it's done. It's like insane. It's crazy.
It
But
is.
AI has become this huge enabler and allowed us to go move away from that. Can you write me a landing page? Can you write 4 emails? Can you to be more of a strategic partner the way an ad agency generally is. But as a solo, as a freelancer, we never had the resources to offer that depth of service, that depth of expertise, the expertise now is amazing. So that's how I kind of lent into this whole training. I was so excited by it. Wow. Because I've been doing all of this stuff. Hey, you know me, I never teach stuff that I haven't done. So I've been leaning into all of this stuff for quite a while. And just every day I'd be like, it just blow the top of my head off. And just like, this is crazy. This is nuts. So that's what got me excited about the whole program. But I still, like I said right at the beginning, I still had, are people going to believe me that this
We
actually
always have
is?
that doubt when we launch something
Yeah.
new, right?
Do
Like,
am I going to be able to actually sort of persuade people that actually this is doable? And it's not just me like being Mr. Fancy Pants, because I'm not
right.
Mr. Fancy Pants. I'm not a coder. I'm not a designer. I'm not an analyst. I'm
But I think
simply
what
a
you're
writer.
saying there, though, is the objection or thought that pops up and says, well, but you're Nick Usborne. Like, come on, of course you can do it, but can I do it? I think is what you're trying to say. And that is, you prove that, yes, average people just like you, not like you, average other people can also do this just like you have done it, even though you are above average.
Average people just like me. Don't
Just
don't
like you.
overestimate. Don't over. I can write, but beyond that, don't overestimate me. I'm just like
Disagree strongly.
I'm as challenged as other people when it comes to. I mean, I can't code. I don't know. I can't code. I can't all that technical stuff. I can't do that stuff. I can barely use Photoshop. Now I don't have to, of course, because I can just type in, or I can just talk in a prompt. And get design outputs and edit images and things like that. So,
Hey, Jess. So Jess is behind the scenes. For people who don't know about Solo Agency, can you pop the link up to Nick's training just so I have a bunch of questions for y'all that I'm going to have him answer now. But if you're really brand new to all of this and you have no idea what we're talking about, Jess behind the scenes will pop up a link, and that will kind of cover the storyline behind Solo Agency so that you can really see what you'll be doing as a solo agency owner. And that, I think, will help kind of flip it on its head as far as what we're talking about. But I want to dig into some of the questions that I have so that we can kind of dig into how would we move forward with this. So hopefully you're already familiar. If you're not, there's the URL now, AWAI.com/solo agency model. So that'll give you examples. I actually gave you the example of the landing page and what all I'm not sure why it's flashing on the screen. Hopefully it will hold there for a second. Is it flashing for you? What a weird thing.
going on and off. I still have this amazing green flash
You don't.
over
You
my.
don't worry about that.
Me.
But so
Okay, you don't. Okay, good.
If you guys have questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, I will run through mine. So what the conversation Nick and I want to flow is, let's assume I want this. I already believe that I want to do a solo agency model because the idea of freelancing has always been appealing. The idea of living the writer's life has been appealing. And when I say the writer's life, I mean the life of the writer, of living where I want, in any country that I want, working how I want, when I want, for who I want, really being in control of my schedule and the way that I live my life. Now with this solo agency model, I mean, it really is reducing the number of potential clients that we need to have depending on your income goals and really setting you up, Nick, in what you and I would really, this is what we've talked about for years as the pinnacle. Like, we started writers down here on these assignments, and our goal had always been to increase their value year over year. You've been teaching me this since I coached with you 15 years ago, and that was to always be looking at what I bring to the table and increasing my value to really get to this again, pinnacle of freelancing, which is being able to offer so much more than just a project, just an email, just a landing page. So like now we're here, and AI has made it easier for people to jump from here to here right out of the gate. So the fact that people can start their business now rather than having to climb up slowly, we can start at the top, is really, I think, what excites me most and where I want to jump in. So let's say though, I've come into this space and I am a freelancer, or I want to be a freelancer, I'm getting ready to. What is the first step? Like, how do I transition from I'm a freelancer to I am a solo agency owner? How does that look?
This will sound like a silly answer, but the first and most important and essential step is shift in mindset
Okay.
from the freelance mindset, which sometimes can be, if things go well all the time, great, good for you. It hasn't been for me. Most of us go through a career of a little bit feast and famine. Things go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for us to sort of instantly believe just because I say so or Rebecca says so, hey, you can build a virtual ad agency, a solo agency, like having 4 or 5 people, but just you, and it's cool and it works. And it takes like a leap of faith to say, okay, maybe it's believe. But that mindset of like, hey, I see this. I can see how combining myself with AI, even if right now you are not that familiar with AI, you'll get there, believe me. Well, in the training, we walk through all of this, but even if you're not super versed in AI right now, there are very simple tools that can take a report writing, analysis, design, video, audio, like anything that a small agency would do, you can do with AI. And with the agency, what's your salary? Like your payroll is going to be whatever, high 6 figures a year, or more, because good people cost a lot of money to hire. In this case, you could probably get together the AI tools you want for $100 a month. All right. So it is doable financially. It is doable technically. These tools are very, very simple to use. Basically, you just talk to them. And so that's the first thing I would try to do, is get you to make that moment of, okay, I believe I could do this. That mindset of being just, I'm a, hey, we all have that. I've been teaching and coaching freelancing for almost as long as I've been teaching copywriting. Well, not quite as long, but for a long time. And there's always that thing of, am I worth it? Am I worth more? When people say, how much should I charge for this? I say, well, what was the first figure that jumped into your mind? And they tell me, and I said, okay, double it. There's a rule of thumb. If you're doing some work for someone and they say, okay, what would you estimate for this? If you think of the number, keep your mouth shut. Don't say a word, because once you've thought about it, you're going to double it. And that's probably closer. And it's because sometimes we undercharge because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in our value. We think the client is going to see through us and say, "You're kidding. I'm not going to pay you that much. You're not worth that." So there can be this kind of scarcity mindset with a freelancer. It's not always the case, and it shouldn't be the case. And most of us get past that. But it does mean that leap from there to being, hey, I'm a solo agency owner and I'm charging probably at least 5 times as much for everything is what I would as a freelancer. Between 5 and 10 times, whatever you would charge as a freelancer, as a solo agency owner, you're going to charge between 5 and 10 times that amount.
I mean, just pause. Hold on.
Oh,
Pause. I mean,
yeah.
just let everybody catch up and wrap their mind around that. And you also just said something, your brain sometimes will tell you, you aren't worth that. I do want to point out that you are not the value. Like you, the person, whether someone says too high, too low, whatever the thing is, it's not truly self. So right next to your idea of mindset shifting is really, it's the outcome, it's the output, it's what clients want, which is they want more leads, they want more sales, they want more profit from attention. We as writers, just for those of you who are brand new, are not writing a landing page or writing an email. We are doing something bigger for the company that's driving what they want. That's where our value comes in. So I just want, if anyone here is like, I'm not worth that, it has nothing to do with you, the person. It's what you are helping a company do, which is why they are in business and need and value your expertise. And then what you said about 5 people's output, like what you're providing now with the solo agency model is not what Rebecca can produce. It's what Rebecca plus 5 other people can produce. Those people happen to be AI tools that I am driving and using. But what I hand over to a client now is way more than what I could as a solo person. And I do want, if you're brand new, everyone to read this detailed report, AWAI.com/solo agency model, because I do walk you through specifically. I show you a very specific example of a client asking a freelancer and then a client asking me, the solo agency owner, and what they get. And you can clearly see why the latter is worth so much more money. But like from a rebranding, Nick, like, do I go out and say, like, do I have to rebrand myself and say I'm an agency owner? Am I still Rebecca Matter, the freelancer? What does that look like?
I do. Actually, I'm just going to step back for a moment, and where you say it's not you that's being rejected. There are a couple of things here. First of all, a company expects to pay way more from an agency. There's a much
Oh, that's
higher
interesting.
assumption. Like a freelancer in their mind, they have, okay, a freelancer costs that amount, and they already have in their mind what an agency costs, even a boutique-sized agency, and they know it's going to be way, way more. They're expecting a much, much higher.
Because there's staff and overhead and other things that
yeah, it's just hardwired in. Freelancers that amount, unless you're talking about the best freelancer in the world and the worst agency in the world. But generally, there's the freelancer, that bucket, and then there's the agency bucket. The other thing, at that point of like, if you are either feeling nervous, like, oh my goodness, am I worth that as a freelancer, or you go through the whole motion, through the whole thing proposal, and the client says, nah, we're not going to use you. That stings because it's you personally.
right.
You have been rejected. All right. And it still stings for me. Makes me miserable. If you're an agency and you don't win that pitch, you don't win the proposal, it's not personal anymore. You don't take the hit. It doesn't sting. It's like you haven't been rejected. The agency proposal has. And then going back to Rebecca's point about you're delivering more. When you do an invoice, it's no longer an invoice for as per 4 emails at price agreed and then a number. You got line items in there. You've got research, report, analysis, like the way an agency would. And when those line items have numbers against them, and then when you add up all those numbers, that's where you're looking at 5 to 10 times what you would as a. So you're not charging 5 to 10 times for exactly the same thing.
Right.
You're delivering way more. And some of these reports and analyses you can do and projections you can do, it's just like, hey, if nothing else, if you take nothing else from this call, if you haven't done it already, go to Google Gemini Deep Research and get them to research an agency, an industry. Maybe it's a niche that you're interested in. General aviation, there's an exotic niche for a freelancer or a small agency. Go in there and say, create a report on opportunities and challenges for a small agency in the niche of general aviation over the next 2 to 5 years. And then go and have a cup, make some coffee. It'll take about 10 minutes and you'll get maybe a 20, 30 page report with 50 to 60 citations worth 5 figures, 6 figures. And that kind of, you look at that, first of all, it can be incredibly useful to you. But then you look at that and say, man, I can create reports like this for my clients, for my prospects. I can use this to open doors, to start conversations, to, so anyway, I'm rambling, but.
It's interesting though, because, the thought that always comes up whenever we talk about the usage of AI, the next question that comes up is, well, then someone could just do that themselves. They can use AI to do that thing. Can you talk a little bit about, the knowledge that one has to have and where all of our persuasion practice and marketing understanding and things that we have learned help us drive these tools better? Like, why does a company hire an agency? Why don't they just do it themselves using the exact same tools?
So traditional agencies specialize and they attract top talent because they're agencies. There's always this perception, if you're a top person in the marketing advertising world, that you don't really want to be in-house. Some in-house groups, creative groups are great, but generally there's this sense that to be in an agency is a step above. And I've forgotten the question. What was the question?
The question that always comes up when we talk about specific examples of how to use AI. So you were talking about like a Gemini Deep Research, and I love that you wrote down, like, use it as a way of talking to clients, like having all of these intel points. But whenever you say something like that, the immediate question that pops up is, well, why don't companies just use AI themselves to do these things that I would be hiring the agency to do?
So in this case, when it comes to what we're talking about, using multiple tools so that it's like my solo agency actually has 3 or 4 people around the table. We are ahead of the curve, and it's really, really simple to get ahead of the curve, because for larger companies, mid-sized companies, to really use AI to the full potential is really, really hard for them. A lot of companies are really struggling. Like, how do I do this? How do I train my people? How do I keep these pesky agents outside of our private database? Like, how do we actually execute on this? So companies are desperately scrambling, and some are ahead of the curve, many are not. And there's this gap right now, and it'll probably endure. A lot of companies just don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same with like, should I, why don't we have an agency in house? It's like, that's not our thing. We're not we build grommets. We do this is what we do. I came across a company the other day that puts the paint on roads. Huge company. Their specialty is making the paint that goes on roads for lines in the middle of roads. They don't want to. They say, hey, we got engineers, we got like all these people, we don't want to do that stuff. And so that's the answer, that is the most common answer, is that they know they could send off people in-house to get training, but that's not their thing. That's not what they do. So, smart companies outsource all kinds of stuff. They have an outside accounting firm. They could hire accountants, but that's not what they do. It's not their strength. So they go out. Same with lawyers. They could have an in-house lawyer. Some big companies do, but they also have outside lawyers. So you want to be that outside source of expertise, where you have, in this specialty area of being like a solo agency and creating these kind of digital promotions for companies. They said, well, we could do that, I guess, if we hired some people and we'd really train them well. But why? Why are we going to get in that expense and trouble when we can hire these guys right here, right now?
And that is definitely, so that to me is the answer. And we haven't actually talked about that before. And that's not even on my question list. It just popped into my head. But this idea that it's the same answer to, well, why don't they just write the copy themselves? If I give them my ideas, they're going to steal them. Why aren't they just going to do it themselves? Because if they could, they would. And they're not going to, because this is the new copywriting. This is what it is. You are learning the tools just as though the accounting world has changed, just as though like anything else that you outsource, legal, things that, like Nick said, companies outsource aspects of their business because it's easier, it's a lot less risky, and you assume that that person has higher credentials or higher skill set than someone that you would hire in-house. And so think about that. That's another mindset thing of, I am, and I'm speaking for you, the writer, I am investing in myself. I'm investing in learning these tools. Could anyone use and do learn too? But yes, they could have learned copywriting all these years. They could have learned graphic design. They could have learned all these things, but they haven't. And so this is just the next stage, a higher level of learning, which actually leads me to my next question. I do want everyone who's here, though, if you're brand new to this world, AI is your friend. AI is a tool that you should be using and you should learn. Just like I believe that you need to learn persuasion, you need to learn marketing. AWAI has always been rooted in that for 28 years. Going, oh my gosh, almost 3 decades we've been around teaching writers. But we have always taught you marketing and persuasion from the very first day. AI is just part of it too. It's not instead of, it's understanding persuasion, understanding marketing, understanding the customer journey, and what is the point of all the marketing materials that we're producing makes us better writers, makes us more valuable, makes us get better outcome. AI is part of that, learning it. So think of AI as just something else now that you get to learn to make you even more valuable as this profession changes. So my question, and Nick, I know that you cover extensively in the program specific tools and how to use them. And really, I mean, the output, like you were saying, of the people who went through your training and built their businesses and already have their websites up, have clients, like are already moving. It's crazy how fast. And I feel like that's the proof of this model, because if they were able to build all of those things by themselves following your training, then the confidence is already there. They can do it for clients as well. My question, so if you guys go with Nick on a training, he's going to show you all the AI tools, because there's a million. It's not like, how do I learn them all? It's not about learning them all. It's learning what you need for the services that you're going to provide. But what if I'm not tech savvy? What if I'm super scared of learning any of those things? is this even a viable method for me if I'm scared? If I haven't started using AI, I'm not an early adopter yet. I'm still like, I'm using ChatGPT to ask questions, but I'm not actually using it to produce anything yet. Can I still do this?
Sure you can. If you're using it, if you get a ChatGPT and say, "Give me a recipe for spaghetti bolognese sauce," then and that's what a lot of people use ChatGPT for
Yeah.
their personal lives. I got a pimple on my knuckle. What might that be?
I did a workout
Uh,
program that my kids that would go from age 11, my son, up to age 53, my husband, that the whole family would enjoy. I wanted 20 workout moves that we could do as a family.
53.
It was cool.
53.
It was so amazing to see how it could adapt and like, oh, I have a bad back. I can't do that one. That's okay. We'll fix that one. Like, we'll change it out.
Right.
Like, it was amazing.
So if you can do that, you can do this. Like, so that's what, if you can look up spaghetti bolognese or a fitness routine for your family with ChatGPT, you know how to use ChatGPT, and there's nothing more you need to learn really than what you already know. Because again, you're simply typing in, or I'm a terrible typist, so I just speak into
Isn't that
ChatGPT.
amazing?
And I just talk to it, and it comes with output. And I said, yeah, but no, that's not quite right. Can you redo that bit, or can you change that bit, or let's look at that from a different angle. I collaborate, so I really do have that sense of four of us around the table, and it's not like I just say, okay, go away and do this. I say, okay, let's start off with this, and it says, do you mean this? And I say, well, yeah, kind of, but let's more of this or a bit more of that. So I get into conversations. So these models are collaborative partners with me. I'm not just saying ask for an output and then thinking, well, that's not very good. Everyone's right. This is rubbish. When people don't get good output, it's because they're not using the tools right.
And that,
So,
yeah, exactly. Keep going.
oh,
Sorry.
and the other thing is I still keep coming up is finding these posts on LinkedIn and Facebook saying these models can't write copy. It's like, seriously? This isn't, we're still in 2023, are we? It's like two things here. First of all, writing the words is probably about 10% of what I use these models for. I'm far more likely to be using them for reviewing copy, or for creating reports, or for doing images, or for creating, I don't know, some kind of graphic for something, or a thumbnail for a video. I mean, there are so many ways in which we use these tools. So copywriting is just one of them. And like I said, it's probably about 10% of how I use it. And also to the doubters who say that, oh, these models can't write, content and stuff. It's probably because you're not prompting them correctly.
It takes
I've
some
like
practice.
it does. And that's it. It doesn't take deep expertise. It takes practice, practice, practice. So I have a particular website. It's like a hobby website. And I've trained a writer to write the content on that site. She's called Grace, which is cheeky because she's actually an AI. But she signs all of her stuff Grace. And it's got to the point now where, I kid you not, I just tell her what I want the next blog post to be about. And I use something, we're going to talk about this, called the custom GPT, where you actually train a particular GPT environment to be Grace and to write like Grace and to know, to use Grace's tone of voice, etc. So now when I get Grace to write something, every time I look at it and I smile and I think, I could not have done that better myself. 45 years I've been writing as a freelance writer, writing copy and content. And on that particular topic, Grace is a better writer than me. Like, her stuff is like fresh, it's like exciting. You can feel the energy in her voice. It's just crazy because it's just ChatGPT.
I just
But
wanted, just
I've gone
on
to a
that
lot of,
point though, it's like, but again, you're cultivating talent. And so that's a great
yeah,
takeaway for everybody. I do have some other questions I want to move forward into, because
yeah.
so keeping my eye on the time, and I wrote down custom GPT. But like, I think about Jessica Andrews, who's behind the scene right now, hosting this for us and running the tech behind the scenes. When I met Jessica 6 years ago, she knew nothing about copywriting, had no experience in doing any of this stuff, was exposed to great copywriters and read great copy like we have all of our marketers do. And over the years, I would make comments. I would do it in the comments field as I was editing her copy, or editing copy that she was reviewing. It wasn't even her copy. It was for another person. She kept on reading all the comments. Then one day she started putting comments in. I noticed the writer did this. this is something you usually flag. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And here's how we're going to change it. Then I moved into copy changes. Here's how I would change the copy. Then she moved into writing. This is what I made some changes. Would you mind reviewing my changes before it goes back? Yes, I would. Now she's writing. Now I'm commenting. And year over year, Jessica continued to read my reviews, read my feedback, take it in, learn it, and then produce it and do the same thing. Now she's one of my strongest writers today because she has gotten to this point of learning and evolving. So when you hear someone like Nick say something kind of like passive, like, oh, well, Grace can write anything as good as anybody else, don't take that to mean like any AI tool and any person driving can turn out great copy. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is he is a talented writer and he has trained a GPT to be a talented writer also. He has trained that GPT. It's not like Chat GPT is a talented writer. It's that you can train them to write for you. And I get worried when we make comments that sometimes they're taking it out of context and they're spun to mean something else, but that's not what he's saying. And
so I will clarify that further by saying
we don't need to. We got tons to go through. I think we're good.
Well, hang on, but on copy, like a sales page, a sales sequence of emails, I have yet to be able to get a really good draft out of, particularly a long form sales letter. It just can't do it yet. So that your talent as a human writer will always be valued, whether it's at the front end of training a GPT or the back end of editing and recognizing what's weak and what's good and what's bad. And no, I never leave any of these models to be responsible for writing the copy, the sales copy.
Correct.
I'll ask it to maybe have a look at it, maybe take a stab at it. But I know I'm going to have to put in the work myself to make that as good as it needs to be.
Good. Thank you for clarifying that, because I do think there's these runaway comments that I'm seeing everywhere, and someone hears something and it's their interpretation of what it was being said is different than the meaning or the intention behind it. So I want to ask a little bit about business strategy. So, and it's funny because, this whole world, every time, I shouldn't say every time, I've worked on a lot of programs at AWAI. I have researched a lot of opportunities. I've worked with a lot of experts. I've wanted to be a lot of things in my personal 22 years with AWAI. Everything from a resume writer to a grant writer to a travel writer, you name it, I wanted to do it. I got really good over time, though, at stopping myself. I stopped buying domain names. I stopped buying everything and saying, I'm going to do all these things. But I have to say, solo agency is something that in my future life, when I evolve into something else, this is where I'm going to live. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, to be able to have the freedom of the writer's life, to be able to work where you want, when you, all those things, but still get to be solo. Because sorry, friends, us writers, I might present like an extrovert out here in a webinar or something like this, but I am so introvert. I like to be at that table back there with my laptop, and I like to be head down writing for hours at a time, or building or ideating or whatever it is I'm working on. That's where I love to be. And so to be in this solo agency idea, I'm super interested in it. And I really think that it's just the future of the writer's life, period. Like, this is the biggest opportunity for the future. So let's talk. So my questions are really like, I want to know this too, from a business strategy standpoint. It's always been easy for me to coach writers on developing their services and pricing, because I have so much information from so many freelancers that I've cultivated that I know everything about. Ask me a question, I know the answer. This is where it's so new now that I'm excited. And for other people too, there's nothing published on this yet. So things like pricing. AWAI has a pricing guide for over 80 different projects. How the heck am I going to price over here? There's no model of pricing. So how do we approach something like that when there's no established market rate yet?
I do what I always do. And I'm like a broken record. I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to build me a table comparing high-end freelance rates, small agency rates, and a large agency rates for this particular task or project. And it goes out, and because they've stolen everything, their training data, it goes out and it comes back with a table with a chart and saying, here's upper and lower for freelancers, upper and lower for boutique, upper and lower for large agencies. And I think, thank you very much. And I might, something like that, where I think, okay, this is going to go into my estimate. I don't want to mess up. I will take that. And let's say I did then ChatGPT. I'll go over to Gemini or to Claude. In other words, a competing large language model.
Yes.
I'll paste it in and say, can you fact check this for me, please? And let me know if you think there's something glaringly wrong or inaccurate here. And it does. So I'll use them to check on each other's work sometimes. So I'm just sitting back, having my coffee. Any kind of question like that. Oh, what's the what's the copyright issue with XYZ? I don't know. I'll ask ChatGPT. How do I write a really impressive sounding proposal? I've never done a proper like agency proposal. I've done kind of emails as a freelancer. How do I write? Just ask ChatGPT. It'll write you a draft. How about a contract? Like, I don't want to spend thousands of dollars with a. Can I have a contract? Yeah. Ask ChatGPT. It'll give it the basic information. It'll write you a contract. And with all of these things, I go through and I say, well, hang on, what about this? Does this cover this? Does this apply? Is this accurate? But I'll get it to do like the hard work, the heavy lifting on almost any task that a small agency might face, or anyone within the agency might face. Hey, that's a great piece of content. Can you spin that out into 20 Twitter and Facebook posts? Yeah, I'll just give it a ChatGPT.
Amazing.
It'll do it in about 3 seconds. Now I will review. And
Yeah.
I say, not that one, not that one, and not that one. But otherwise, yes. Hey, clients, like I was as part of the program, I kind of go along for the ride with a pretend agency that called Bean and Brand. It's for coffee companies, for coffee roasters. So I said, hey, like, the higher end coffee roasters that could be clients, are there any of those in my hometown of Montreal? If so, please list them, the founders and contact information. Just something I might have gone to LinkedIn or a Yellow Pages or whatever. Just ask ChatGPT and it comes back. They come back with a whole list of these coffee roasters and the contact information. It's like, okay, I could have done that, but I just did it in literally like 100th of the time.
It's so crazy. I'm sorry. The whole takeaway that I took is using the AIs against each other to fact check each other. Like, that is brilliant. And I hope everybody wrote that down. And it's funny because I asked you this question and I literally got an email from someone the other day. And she was saying, I just used ChatGPT to research this fee range for ghostwriting in this space. And I'm shocked. I couldn't believe what it came back at. But then I vetted it and I actually asked people who are successfully doing it. And I was like, is this crazy? And those people came back and said, nope, that's right. So that's, like, again, an interesting point of, so even if you take, like, y'all should be taking away lots of stuff from this conversation, but even if you just take away that point, I'm not sure what to charge. Ask what to charge, and then have the other AI tool vet it and say, no, I would actually charge higher or lower based on what I'm seeing out there. It's like this. Like, that's so freaking cool.
On the fact checking thing, anything that is kind of client facing, where let's say it's a percentage or it's like you're making a claim or something. If it's a number and it's going to the client, I always fact check with another large language model.
I'm like, Jessica, behind the scenes, make sure you write that down. What a great way for us to do easy fact checking. Because she has to fact check for days on stuff that copywriters send in.
But you also have to be a little bit careful with these models. I said I was writing something with multiple chapters and I wanted a quote at the beginning of each chapter, which you sometimes see in a business book. So I said, hey, I want go out to experts in this field and I want a relevant quote from a notable expert at the beginning of each chapter. And it did it. And it's like, hey, that's cool. And then I thought, hang on a minute. Copied and pasted that quote into into Google, and I said, find me this quote. Didn't exist. And it said, oh, I'm sorry. It was my mistake. I said, put in a quote. It made up the quotes. So his notes were, I'll make up a quote and I'll put, just like Nick asked me to add a quote, a relevant quote from experts. So I've done exactly what Nick asked me to do. So it's like, now I said, okay, no. An existing quote with a source.
And even still, so ask for the source and then just check the source. So what we do is we click through to the source and make sure that we can find it on the website. And then so for us, it's things like, percentages or dollars being spent or whatever. And then we screen capture the proof that's there so that we have it, so that if anyone ever needs it in the future, here was the page published on this website, because things change over time. So take a picture of the page, save it. But it's just such a great insight. So what types of projects? I have so many questions. 15 minutes. Okay. What types of projects work best for the solo agency approach? Like, are there types of projects or things that I want to avoid, or even just like great starter ones? If I was starting with an agency, offer these three things. And that's the approach.
I think you can go at it with the same mindset that you would as a freelancer. Like you're going to choose a niche, whether it's general aviation or road painting or the pet industry or the natural food industry. And then you can say, okay, what am I interested in doing that industry? And I say, okay, I'm really good at storytelling. That's my thing. So that translates really well into things like case studies and email campaigns and newsletters. I can build story into that. And then, of course, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and I can say, hey, I'm thinking of building a boutique agency in the natural health thing. And I really want to focus on these types of deliverables like emails and social media and newsletters. Is there an opportunity there or is it oversubscribed? What do you think? And I'll get a report back. I did that once and it prevented me from making a very costly mistake because I thought there was an opportunity where there wasn't. I hadn't realized how crowded it was. And also there were some legal issues that I hadn't even thought of, which you brought up and said, hey, this can really complicate your life in this niche as well. So think of a kind of niche that you would as a freelancer, like here's an industry sector that really interests me. Here's the kind of writing I'd like to do. And again, just feed it to ChatGPT. Here's my thing. Please structure, or even. All right, so you've got that. Now go to something like lovable.dev, lovable.dev, and say, here's my idea for an agency. It's in the natural health industry, and I want to do emails and newsletters. And I'm really into storytelling. Build me a homepage. Seriously, build me a homepage. Go make yourself a cup of tea. Come back. And it will create you a homepage designed, copywritten for you. And you look at it and you think, well, that's interesting. I've gone from nothing to this in like 60 seconds. Now I can start playing around with this because I don't want quite that thing and I don't want quite that emphasis. But it's just like this accelerates just everything you can do. And you can find out things like, hey, that's more like exactly what I'd like to do. Then I go back to ChatGPT and say, is this a viable business opportunity? And you got to say to them, be brutally honest, because these models like to please you sometimes.
They do.
So I always say, be objective and brutally honest in your reply. And it'll come back and say, okay, fair enough. And I've used it that way. And like I say, it's prevented me from making some costly mistakes and also identified for me some opportunities that were bigger than I thought. It's your constant companion from spaghetti bolognese to every hour of your business day.
I'm just getting into the comments, guys. I'm so sorry I missed some of them. But Choji, you're saying you're the guy who finally committed to completing the AWAI Method program Thanksgiving week. Great job. That's your basis and foundation in persuasion. Just here to expand my awareness of what's possible as a copywriter. Never too soon for that, right? Right. 100%. Just start your business this way rather than going up the curve. I mean, this is something that Nick and I used to coach with Nick years ago. And I would say, I'm working on my website copy. I'm working on this angle. And this is what I'm thinking. He's like, well, that's not who you're going to be 5 years from now. And I was like, why would I write who I'm going to be? He's like, why are you writing about who you are today? Like, let's go out a little bit. Let's go further out. And it was just one of those big takeaways that you guys should be exposing yourself to things that are way outside of your realm of possibility right now to know where you're going. Those of us who live in this space, what I can do right now, like that's okay. But that's where all the imposter syndrome comes in because we're limiting ourselves. We need to know like how long the length is. Nick's been doing this for a very, very, very long time. And I've been doing it for a very long time. And it's just fun because it always evolves and grows. So I'm glad that you're here. Sorry, that was a little shade that I got to throw at Nick because I know him for a very long time. Roy is saying, I'm new to this work, but curious about how far I could go. So my presence is to gain a bit more understanding of the business and work opportunities. Guys, I'm so glad that you're here. Jim commented on something about using agency. Why not doing it in-house? This is such a great point, Jim, that outsiders often don't have the same blind spots as an insider. We just recently did an AI optimization training with Guillermo Rubio, and he used AWAI. I'm like, go ahead. He's like, can I go ahead and audit y'all? I'm like, yeah, do it. Show me all the spots I'm missing. And boy, did we have a lot of spots. So why would you hire? You would think that AWAI has been around 28 years. Clearly, we should know what we're doing, right? We know a lot of what we're doing, but are there massive opportunities in our business for improvement? 100% in any company. So hiring an agency gives companies the ability to get that outside perspective. So you guys are these are the right questions, right time, right place, just so fantastic. I'm happy to be able to read some of these. Chris is saying she's always having conversations with AI. Glad to know it's not just me. You are not alone. Kim is talking about training the AI, fantastic, and also Introverts Uniting. We know who we are. It's pretty much everybody here. Okay, I will come back into the comments, but for you, Nick, let's talk about that actually for a second. I want to get to implementation. But really quick, let's sidestep into the imposter syndrome of I am new here. And we talked a little bit about the beginning. I want to move into a solo agency model. I want to be this tomorrow. I want to plant my flag 3 years out in front of me where I plan to be. How do I do that without feeling? How do I overcome the imposter syndrome? And what do I do when people ask me like, okay, so who's part of your team? You're an agency. What is that? How do you work those questions?
The second question is I always recommend transparency. That if people say, how many are you in the agency? You're going to say it's me and plus a group of AI agents that I've trained for, specialty knowledge in the area. So I'm never going to lie and say there's 5 of us. I'm always, if I'm asked directly, I'll always be transparent in the answer. Sorry, and now I've answered the second question. I forgot the first question.
The first question was about the imposter syndrome piece. Like, okay, so I just told somebody, you just did the AWAI method, fantastic. Like, go ahead and launch like this. You don't have to pay your dues or work your way up, but that is going to come with the fear. The question that comes next is like, yeah, but what about imposter syndrome? Then what happens?
I'll tell you one of the things I do, and it's a kind of game that I play with myself, but it's not really a game. And it's a little bit of what Rebecca was saying about imagine you being really successful 3 years from now and then jump straight into that point. Is I would say, let's say I want to do a particular niche. I want to be in gourmet coffee industry. And I got a few ideas. I'm going to feed them, and let's say I'll come up with a name. So the name I came up with was Bean and Brand. So it's the Bean and Brand Agency, specializing in that industry. The first thing you could do is go to lovable.dev. There's a free tier there. Describe what you're going to do with this agency, give it the name, and say, please create a prototype for my homepage. And it does that. And it may not be perfect. It may not be where you want it, but it's there. It's a real thing. Print it out, pin it on the wall in front of you and say, that's my agency. That's it. So when even a spouse, a friend, a family member says, hey, Mr. Crazy Pants, I thought you were struggling with the idea of being a freelancer. Now you want an agency? Just say, look, there it is. It's on my wall. That's it. It's like for me to be able to visualize those 10 steps ahead is enormously powerful because now I'm being pulled forward rather than kind of pushing through.
I love that.
And so I'm always doing that. I make myself T-shirts with the name of the website on the T-shirt, so I can. It makes it real for me even before I've finished executing. And when I can see that it's real, now it just means I just have to take the path along to that point. I don't have to invent that point anymore. I'm already there. I've got it in front of me. So that's a trick that it's not, like I say, it's not a trick. It's like, it's more profound than that. I think it really helps us if we can see the outcome we're after.
It's funny.
And these models, because, carry on.
I was just going to say one of our success stories, Elizabeth Blessing, who is also I got tongue tied there, Elizabeth Blessing, who is also a Circle of Success coach for us now because she has been so successful. When she first started out with AWAI, we have these business templates that have invoices and proposals and things like that you can customize. So she went there and customized everything really quick, including her first invoice. And it was for a project she was planning to, that's what she wanted to do and what she wanted to get paid. And she said, seeing that invoice with her name and everything, there was no client, but typing up the invoice was like, it gave her that thrill of it's go time. It is real. Like, I want this to be real. And it did change things. So to your point, like seeing your business, seeing your name, seeing your website, like it does give us that kind of push forward. I love the visual of being pulled forward rather than being in this place trying to figure this out. So what do you think the biggest mistake would be if in implementing a solo agency?
Two. The first is not believing you can do it, because you can. I mean, you really can. And the other would be to build something that is kind of freelance plus, because you're a little scared to go the whole way. I go the whole way, create an agency. So an agency name, an agency level of service. Um, so yeah, it's about us, and I totally get it, because as a freelancer, you would think that after 45 years, I would have a mountain of self-confidence, but I think I had more confidence when I was starting out than I do
Isn't
now.
that funny?
I have much more self-doubt now than I did. I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread when I started out with just 2 years experience. I thought I was
Oh, the age
amazing.
of ignorance. I love, like, I just
Yeah,
think back to myself in my early
and
20s.
now I know enough now to recognize my weaknesses and shortcomings.
It's like knowing your
But
parents, right? Like knowing you think your parents don't know anything, and then all of a sudden you
yeah,
realize you don't know anything. It's that awareness. Hey, Belinda's saying, and I have three more questions I got to get to in the next 4 minutes. But Belinda, you're saying we've talked
right,
about signature offers in the past. I love that you're tying this stuff in. You've been on other trainings and you're here, which is basically a signature offer that we were talking about, Nick, is where we're wrapping a few projects into one, like a good, better, best. If you buy this, it's like this would be bigger, and this would be more
right.
expensive and more comprehensive. For a solo agency, is pricing similar to a signature offer but bigger? Yes, because it's the same idea. So go back to that training, Belinda, because you're just wrapping more in. Now you're going to
Yeah,
customize, like we taught in there. Once we actually work with a client, we're going to like kind of Chinese menu it to get their perfect big, better, best, good, better, best. But it's the same idea. An agency is great. I can do this. I can do this plus this. I can do this plus this plus this. That's awesome. Trisha's asking, are we doing this live again? When does it begin? In January? We are not doing it live right now because it is scheduled potentially for later next year. But so many success stories came out of the training that we're actually giving you a chance to get in now and get the recordings and not have to wait. There's this opportunity. I've said this in a couple of other webinars, but this time of year is such a great year, a time of year to build something. And I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's the holidays and it's chaos. You know what's coming in a few, like just down the pipe, is us sitting around a lot, kind of dreaming. This is a wonderful feeling time of year where we start to look forward to the new year. Every time I have an idea or something that gives me those feelings, I move forward physically and take an action, because that is the moment. A momentum, a feeling, intensity that you cannot create. It has to just kind of come. So when you get those, to use them is everything. So I talked to Nick and said, can I just give the training away so that people can get into it now and ring in the new year with it already in place? Imagine what that would feel like while everybody else is sitting around clinking glasses, talking about how this is going to be the year that they do something. This is going to be the year that I lose the weight, get the job, change the thing, make the money, all the things, right? We all know come February 15th, all those goals and all those resolutions are going to be 90% are going to be by the wayside. But for you, you could clink glasses with everybody and say, oh, I hope you do it this year. I'm already underway. I'm already moving towards my goals for the year. You don't have to wait till the first. Like, do it now, get it now, go through it and start playing with this stuff in the downtime over the holidays, and use that feeling that you have as the year comes to an end and do something with it. So I really hope that you move forward and check this out. If we do it live again, you'll be part of that live group. So don't worry about that, but just don't wait on stuff. Do it now. John's asking Nick about the general aviation. You said something a while back. That's his field. So John, Nick was using it as a
yeah,
great niche opportunity for someone to get into. And he was using it as an example to go to Gemini and do a research, deep dive. What is it called? Deep research into that space.
it's Gemini Deep Research. Google Gemini Deep Research.
So
Hey,
that's
can
for
I say
you.
one final thing?
Yes, but I have three questions
Can
and
I?
then you can say a final thing.
Okay, so I thought you'd had it. All right, carry on.
Sorry, real quick, because people want to know this. How long does it take to typically make this transition successfully? Like if I go through the training and I'm able to get through it, let's say in a few weeks, because I can now it's evergreen, so I can go through it. I can go through as fast as I want to. Realistically, and I know it's kind of like saying, I used to ask you this question, you'd say, that's like asking me how long is a piece of string? Like, so I don't know
Well,
what your answer would be.
as it happens, I can open up my spreadsheet, because we've had people from that first group who did
That's
launch,
true. That's true.
and the first launches were like, I would say, in less than a month after we did the training, the first couple of
And
sites
they
were up.
had to stagger because Nick was building it as we went. which means he
Yeah.
was slow, like we were delivering it as we went, but it's
Yeah.
all there right now. So depending on how fast
So
you
it's like literally within a month, the first couple of agency websites were
amazing.
published. Yeah.
Oh, and you guys do get access, by the way, even if you're doing the recording, you do get access to the Facebook group. We do have a private group where you can
Yeah.
get help from each other. I mean, one of the things that you do
So
so
you'll have access to a whole group of people who've already done this,
who've
and
already
I'm
done
there
it.
as well. So yeah.
Nick, you do a great job with that. Your communities always stay. And I don't know if it's because of you, because of them, like they all just continue to stay and be part of it, which I just think is something that's very, very cool. Can I start a solo agency, work part-time while keeping current clients? So for people who are working with clients, like could they roll them up into an agency? Do you still keep doing client work or do you transition those clients out?
I do exactly that. I keep working with my freelance clients. I don't want to throw them away. I'm going to build the agency, then I'm going to have a conversation with the client saying, look what I've done. I'm going to shift now here. No, I'm not going to start charging you 3 or 4 times as much because you're an old and valued client, but your new clients, you are going to be charging the full agency, rate.
And then last question from Dale, I see. Can you have an agency with multiple niches, or is it better to focus on one niche and name your company after that niche? Well, those are 2 questions, but let's focus niche and then name.
I'd always say focus on one, but it can be broad or narrow. And the agency name doesn't have to articulate the niche, and you may actually not want it to. So when I had Bean and Brand, I was kind of tying myself into the coffee industry with Coffee Bean, Bean and Brand. Whereas traditionally, lots of ad agencies have actually just been the names of the founders, like Abbott Mead Vickers back in the day. So no, the agency name doesn't have to be, and you may want to give yourself a little wiggle room there, a little flexibility in case you want to shift your niche down the road a bit.
Good. And then we're just getting tons of praise. Martha saying this has been fantastic. Thank you. Jonas, thank you so much. Violet, thank you. I love you guys and gals. So thank you. Okay, now you can have the final words, Nick.
Play. Whenever I start engaging with these models, like, hey, what is this an opportunity, or can you do? I'm playing. I'm just literally, I'm like a child playing with these tools, and just amazed, and as they say in England, gobsmacked by what comes out. It's extraordinary. And so if you go into it not with any kind of like, oh, this is hard work. No, it's not. It's fun. It's playful. And you can, when you play for hours, and then you have something that you can print out, put on the wall, and say, "Yeah, that's it. That is, I can see that. That's definitely getting on the T-shirt." Hey, just logos. I can play for an hour with these models, like the image creation models of coming up with logo ideas for my freelance business. I love to play and to see it, and then to get you get the value out of it, and it takes the burden of work off you. So
I
that's
love
one of the
that.
things I love about this. It's just this mindset, this playful mindset will help you get the most out of this. And
I
that's
think
and you'll
that's,
go for, yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, so you can go from freelancer to solo agency owner by playing. I mean, literally, you can just play and get from one place to the other.
I love that. I think that's such a great way to end this, with this idea of play, because in this world, we could all use a little bit more fun. And when we think about play, we think, like, how do we as adults play? Well, learning is playing. And if you approach it with that curiosity and that wonder and that mindset of having fun while you're doing it, everything becomes a little bit less scary. It doesn't seem like it's so intense and I have to get this right. And what if I don't learn it? It's more like, what am I going to learn today?
This isn't schoolwork. This isn't like, you've been told to learn something by your boss or something. You're just playing your way forward.
Exactly. So everybody get out there, have some fun. Let's play a little bit more. And I hope that you do take Nick up on this opportunity to participate in this agency training. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Nick is on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me anytime as well. We're here for you. So I hope everybody does it. When you do get your agency up and going, please share it with us. We'd like to give you a little bit of love and praise out there.
Add it to my spreadsheet.
I asked Nick earlier, I'm like, do you happen to have any stories of success? And he was like, here's a spreadsheet full of people who went through the program and did the work. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. So you get to be in Nick's spreadsheet and we'll give you a little bit of celebration as well. Like Craig Stevens, for
Definitely.
example, he's building his agency right now, the World Web Writing, and he's following the your solo agency model. So congratulations, Craig. When it's up, please let us know so that we can promote it and give you
Yeah.
a little bit of link love out there. Everybody is just blowing up so kind. I love you guys. This is the best community in the world.
I can see this. Where are people saying I can't see anything?
You have to click in the comment section. But lots of thank you. Belinda says, thank you both so much. You always give me something to get excited about and encourage me to go. All caps. Happy holidays and look out 2026. So Belinda got the last words. I thought those were perfect. So thank you all very much. We'll see you here another time soon. And Nick, thank you so much, not only for being such an incredible mentor over all these years, for always working with AWAI to figure out what the next best thing is and to share everything that you're doing, but helping this next generation of copywriters take advantage of this new opportunity. I'm grateful for you and wishing you all the best in 2026 as well.
You too. Likewise. And thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yay. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.